and we remain grounded. But there are 4 little bite-sized components, if you will, that will really help you find some clarity in everything that you're doing, from your investing, from your job, to your relationships and hobbies. All right, so I want you to consider this for just a moment. I want you to go to college. I want you to think about just one word that would encapsulate college you, okay? And if you want, I would love to see exploring, if you will, in lots of different ways. Lots of rock climbing in those days. Wandering, yep, lots of wandering. Let's see if we have any other fun comments in there. Outgoing, awesome, fantastic. So now I want you to think about who you are. Rachel, studying late is exhausting. Well, I'm assuming that was studying. All right. So now I want you to contrast that with who you are today. There was college you, there's you today. And then we're going to stretch this a little further, and I want you to think about who you want to be 10 years from now. It's exciting when we look to where we want to go. And so we need to piece that together. We have to ahead, and we can't stay in the past, and we don't want to stay we don't want to stay right now who we are. We want to be continually growing. And if we just stayed looking at that old us, then we might just stay like that. So we want to be looking ahead, and so that we are becoming the next best version of ourselves. So super small bite size is be clear about who you want to be in this world. You will show up as that person, but you can't show up as somebody that you cannot see. Okay, bite number 2 is how we're treating the people around us. Now, pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, we were able to, have meetings in person and things like that. But I want you to think about the last meeting that you were in, even if it was virtual. You could think about the last time you, went to a gym, or, just a moment where you were around people. And I want you to think about who you showed up as. Did you show up as the best version of yourself? If you were in a meeting, did you show up groggy? Were you frustrated? Like, oh my gosh, don't they know I have this huge project I'm working on? Why am I here when I could be making the progress there, right? That energy is coming off of us. Or did you show up, which I bet y'all did, because I think you guys are rock stars. I think you guys showed up as ready, willing, and able to be your very best. Were you considerate and patient with your kids or your family, maybe even your dog? I'm not going to ask you guys to type that in the box, because again, I already think that you guys are awesome. Now, those first couple of bites were about how we're more internal, right? It's about our view of ourselves and our view of the people around us, how we engage them. But now we need to think about some external factors. And I want you to think right now about bringing your very best to the table. This last that you took time to develop a skill. Some of us haven't taken time to develop a skill for quite a while, but pushing ourselves allows ourselves to continue to grow, right, into the next best version of us. So I want you to think right now of one skill that you might be able to develop that would reinvigorate you. When you have that, if you want, you can drop it in the chat box. Remember that those skills don't for DIY projects around the house. Your skills and the abilities do not need to be tied directly to your work. You need to be creating some skills and some things that are going to serve you well, right? Just having some simple ambitions. Maybe you want to play the ukulele. I'm not sure, but we cannot have it all. We cannot be grounded when we are not pushing in this way. Yeah, I hear you. Effective leadership. The world needs that. That'd be so cool to launch an Etsy shop. And learning the guitar, I still have one in my closet, and I need to pull it out and learning it. Daniel, you're already presenting super well on podcasts. You're a rock star. All right. Well, so the fourth bite is that we want to be able to share that skill with the world in some capacity, right? We want to give back, to be go-givers. I think you guys should form a guitar club. I'm just saying, I think it would be really productive. All right. And when we are taking these steps, we are becoming the next best future version of us will. And the opposite is true. If we're not taking those steps, we're hindering ourselves. So simply by you being here right now for this kind of presentation, even though it's not micro real estate investing, oriented, you're thinking long play here. Like, how do I become the next best version? How do I do this? Because life is encompassing of everything, like who we are for ourselves, who we are for others, and what we're cultivating in our lives is going to impact the world. Taking just one simple step is maybe showing up with a smile somewhere, taking time to stretch that skill, that reigniting is going to bring something powerful into your life. All of that boils down to being really clear about what you want in life. And clarity is a focal point of everything, the foundation. And the clearer you are, the easier the rest of things will roll out. Well, one way of accomplishing this is by being intentional with our energy. Some of you might feel really super spread thin, super micro, like we have to be everything all at once, okay? We go through all these transitions a day, and it's a lot like bumper cars. But let me ask you guys this. Who actually gives yourself like recovery time? So sometimes when I'm watching movies, I will notice that you'll have a celebrity and they're, in the movie, they're getting ready to get out of a limousine or something like that to walk the red carpet. I don't watch very many. Yeah, exactly. What's recovery? Okay, so listen up to this one. This is where I'm like, I think everybody needs this one right here, myself included, very much so. So when they're getting ready to get out of the car, what they will do is they'll kind of pause, right? And the cameraman will show them maybe like taking a breath, and then they open the door to all the chaos that is taking place outside. And then they walk on the red carpet. But here's the thing. You and I have these experiences, and I'm going to say this is going to sound so dramatic, but how many times pre-pandemic were you like, okay, you got the kids off to school, you ran to the coffee stand, you got to work, you're like on your phone, checking your email and running to the meeting. It's like we're doing all these things all at once ourselves, and we're not giving any type of recovery whatsoever. But what would change if we did this really simple thing? If we just paused and took a breath? What if we exhaled and allowed ourselves to just transition? Okay. To be fulfilled, we absolutely must release where we were and prepare for where we're headed. Now, you can form triggers to accomplish this. If you're working at home, before you leave your workspace, take a deep breath. And for that one moment, release what you were working on. And as you exhale, focus on where you're headed to next and who you want to show up as. Be super intentional about this. Now, just for fun, let's just take a deep breath in and see how powerful just one breath is. So just take one really deep breath in. If you're feeling stressed, there's actually a magic number, and it is 6 breaths. 6 breaths will help calm you in any given situation. Okay, so as you're making these transitions, I want you to think about that. But I also want you to think about this. Superman didn't just like instantly become Superman, right? Superman was Clark Kent working at the newspaper, and here he is, he's in his suit and tie. He transitioned into Superman. Now, maybe that will stick with some of you in your minds of like, okay, I need to make this transition. When I'm done with this presentation, I'm going to transition and leave my studio. I'm going to go out to my family. I'm going to just take that breath and transition so I can be my next best version of myself to my family. So even, transitioning from rooms in your house, as a lot of us are working from home, is really important. Another person who did this well, I was a Mr. Rogers kid. Remember Mr. Rogers? or, you know, at the very beginning, he would transition. He would take his cardigan and his shoes off, and then he would go and put on his house slippers or house shoes and his house cardigan. Okay. So it's really important that we cultivate this concept of making this transition in our life. Okay. Whew. I think I could like use another good deep breath. Does anybody else want an extra energy boost? In general, I have a ton of energy, but another way to create energy is to simply be a joy carrier. You do not need to wait for others to create the joy around you. I want to challenge you right now. Stress is self-manufactured. And in life, we're given a ton of opportunities to juggle some of the tensions that do arise in life and some of the frustrations and setbacks. Sometimes we're stuck in a long line. Sometimes we're stuck in traffic. Sometimes we're just simply stuck. But we can take those moments. We can take that time of transition and we can reframe it, right? So we can take something negative and we can flip it to the positive side. So think for a moment. I might be frustrated that I'm in a line, or I could say, I was just given a few extra minutes in my day to think about my new hobby, playing the guitar. You know, if we're stuck in traffic or wherever we're at, it's another opportunity for us to say, I don't have to feel this way. I get to choose. Okay. And so we can enjoy that disruption from the normal rhythm and enjoy the pause. And we can think of jokes to tell our kids or how we're going to show up at the next best, you know, as our next best self, wherever we're headed. I kind of like getting stuck in traffic every once in a while, just because it gives me that little buffer. Negative energy is so destructive. It is absolutely draining. And when you create a habit of identifying those triggers of those negative feelings and you replace them with positive, productive things, you will gain tremendously in all areas of your life, all of them across the board. Let's touch on one final section of energy. Some of you are going to know who this guy is. And I gave everybody a little cheat down in the corner. 75 Hard is super, super popular right now. I'm sure we all know a few people that are doing this program that Andy Frisella created. But if you're making excuses for not eating well, if you're making excuses for not giving the level of activity, you are robbing yourself and those around you of the very, very best you. Now, this isn't an area I love exercising and being out there, but a lot of times we find ourselves in our career and encumbered with a lot of the responsibilities that come with life, and especially during those middle years when are perhaps raising a family. And we end up oftentimes neglecting ourselves. And we make that excuse of, oh, well, I need to get my kids here, or I need to really push on my career so that I can end up at this other point. But taking care of our health every day is going to impact every part of your life in super important, powerful ways. It's not something that we want to take lightly. Here's a part of physical health that a lot of people take for granted. A lot of you are probably not getting the amount of rest that you need. And here you want to have it all, you want to do it all, you want to have it all, you want to be grounded. But how can we do this when we're not fueling our body possible? Did you know that the average adult actually needs 7 to 9 hours of rest? 7 to 9. And most people are probably going on 5 or 6 hours of sleep. And I put this image up here intentionally. I want you to think, can moving? It's a pretty impossible task, isn't it? So I want you to think of your body as this. Our body actually does something totally different when we go to sleep. When we shut our eyes, when we go to sleep, our body is actually repairing in really, really powerful ways. I don't want you to, I would like you to understand that it's very important that you are getting that rest so that your body can heal, repair, and restore. All right, perfect. So you are in charge of your joy. You are in charge of your energy, and that's empowering. And I hope that you guys take those steps to heart. All right, another great way to stay grounded while having it all is necessity. Let's get beyond all the deadlines down, okay? We have to have clarity about what we want. We've got to preserve and protect our energy, but then we really need to bring the it factor, okay? So often we think of necessity as a deadline or an ultimatum, right? Finish the project or else. Lose the weight and drop your cholesterol before it drops you. Or, you better become a more attentive partner or you're going to get left behind. We all get that idea. We have this relationship with necessity that is oftentimes really unhealthy. And to overcome this, if we can overcome this, if we are digging into our emotions that are aligning with the clarity. So have this deep within us. Unfortunately, for a lot of adults, we have buried it and we have to dig it back out. But when we know why we are doing something, it becomes a lot easier. And I'm sure that a lot of you have heard that concept of, know what your why is. Why are you investing? Why are you working at this job? Like, we hear that a lot, but do we actually apply it into our lives? So our why is ultimately the driver of our necessity, but we don't often say aloud why we are doing something. So really, why does somebody want to be a better partner? Is it just because, more than likely, let me put it like this, oftentimes we want to become a better partner if we boil it down because we really enjoy the companionship of that person and the company, and we want to make them happy. Why is it that you want to make that deadline? Is it because, you don't want a cranky boss? No, it's probably because you want to show up with excellence. You want to see a fantastic finished product. And think about why we want to be physically healthy. Like, sure, everybody wants their beach body, right? We all get that. But really, if we dig past that, more than likely, you want to be healthy because you want to enjoy your health with those around you. You want to live to see grandkids, or you want to be able to, to travel the world in a healthy way. And so when we boil everything down to the why, we can really create some powerful necessity. So I'm going to ask you guys to help me out. Those of you who are here, I want you to think about a reason driving a why in your life, like, or just one. What is the drive why in that area? And if you find that, I want you to just put it in, give you a moment to think about that. Just choose one area and really boil it. The more you do it, the more powerful it is going to be, because everything that you are pursuing will become not just, oh, I have to do this. You are going to find that passion that I want to do this. I get to do this. Or, wow, when I do this, this is going to lead me to this next best spot in life. Most of us know why or where we want to shine, but we don't have a clear path to become that. So, for example, for years, I knew I wanted to be an impact investor, but I just stuffed it away and I listened to a lot of naysayers and I just buried it, but it kept wanting to come back out. And so we need to address those. And what I did was I just continued to say, okay, well, what is this about, and pursuing it. Okay. And when we do that, we can make progress. So you don't want to stuff it down. Great. And you might look at, like, if you have one area, let's just say finances, where you're like, well, I'm really good at this. Well, what could you do with that? Why would you want to grow in that area? What would come of that that's bigger than you? Beware that your why is going to carry you far and help you stand out from those around you. If you are Some of these chats are fantastic and I really appreciate it. Let me move on, okay? Something else that the why is going to affect how you show up with your attitude and your outcome, okay? So if I know that I want to rock and crush a project and I'm going to be on a meeting with my team like I was this morning, I wanted to show up as my very best person. I needed their A game, bring my A game as well. And so knowing what you want to bring and why you want to bring is going to level up your performance and raise your satisfaction to the superstar level. Be mindful also of who you are around. Who you are around is going to affect, oh, I'm so sorry. It apparently did not have my phone turned off. Who you are around is going to affect your life in powerful ways. There's actually research that shows that your friends' friends actually have an effect on you. So choosing who you are surrounding yourself with is a really powerful way of continuing to push your why in life and to push forward into the next part, right? You've often heard, I'm sure, that if you're surrounded in a room full of millionaires and that's who you roll with and you're not a millionaire, who do you suppose the next millionaire is going to be, right? So you can extend your social circle in a really gracious way. You don't have to ghost anybody in your life necessarily, but you can just start adding some people into your life here and there, just one at a time, who will help raise you up. And one thing that's really important as you're doing this, I love to have people that are further along than I am, that I can reach up to and they'll pull me up. And then at the same time, you have your peers. And then you also are going to have people that you are also in turn raising up. Okay, so it's this spread of I'm rising up and I'm taking people with me. Now, we're almost through here, but I'm wondering if you guys can help me out. I don't know if you guys can do emojis in this. Like I said, I'm new to this program. So if you can drop an emoji, how are you feeling? Like any aha moments, or have you found that like one thing that you could do that? I could try breathing, or I could work on my transition and be a little more like Superman. Awesome. Oh, good. I see some thumbs up, some smiley faces. And I won't lie, some of you might feel like your head might be exploding, like, oh my gosh, I really need to do this. This is challenging. All right. Moving on. This is what we all seem to thrive at, right? We all seem to thrive at productivity, but a lot like necessity, we misinterpret productivity a lot. And to stay grounded and to live these full and vibrant lives, we need to interpret these things correctly. Okay, so productivity, this is what I think of productivity is right. I don't know if anybody has seen this episode. It's such an old such an old show, but Lucille Ball and her counterpart, like they're sitting there with the conveyor belt and she's like, oh, we're falling behind. And they're just stuffing madly. Like, this is what I think we think of productivity, right? I'm being productive. I just have to get this done as fast as I possibly can. We put productivity in a box and it just positively cripples us. When we're clear, going back to the foundation and clarity, and we know why we're doing something, then instead of pushing the proverbial TPS reports around in all parts of our lives, we have a mind shift. Okay. So let me ask this. Does anybody have something that they know, I should be working on this project, but you're exchanging it for a different task that our character here, she seems like she's being productive, right? She's accomplishing something. Okay. These are what we call pseudo-productive tasks. And you're going to find, I'll throw myself under the bus. If I'm cleaning up my email inbox, I know that I'm being pseudo-productive. I know that I'm not really doing what needs to be done. I'm not taking that step that's going to drive my ambitions and dreams to the next level. Okay, again, I'm not going to ask anybody to raise their hand or anything like that. But I want you to consider what matters most for you to do, that action that you can take. Think about 1 or 3 things that would lead to greater success in those areas. A lot of times we know exactly what those are, but we're just simply running away from them. Okay, this is a part where it's like going to the doctor. If you look at your calendar, you will quickly know where your priorities are. I won't challenge you to do this right now. So I want you to think, what is leading you away from what you actually should be doing? When you start this practice, you're going to start identifying all sorts of things that will probably be a flare up for a lot of people. And then you can start extinguishing them one at a time. So what do you do when you notice that? So personally, I'm going to add that interruptions, and a lot of us will, I'm sure, be able to relate to interruptions. I have children, they are being homeschooled. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. And even if you don't have children, if you're working from home at this point and you have 4-legged friends that are in the house that need to be let out and such, you have these interruptions. These interruptions can actually cost us a minimum of 25 minutes. And that's really frustrating. So what do we do about it? How do we tackle some of these things that come up? We start, when we think about what's hindering us, we just think, what's one action that I can take to erase it, to eliminate it? In this instance, I asked my 12-year-old son to create some posters to put outside my studio so that they would know the terms and conditions for coming in to visit mom right now. So, trying different things, but taking one small, right? It doesn't have to be this huge monumental thing. One small action will change how that is happening in your life. Here's the thing though, when we don't take those actions, those goals and dreams, they become absolutely suffocated by busyness. Do you want to make that trade? Do you want to trade your dreams and your goals for busy work? So level up in your life and say, you know what? I don't need to check my email right now. I don't need to clean it up and clean it out. I really need to be doing this task over here. This is going to take me where I want to go. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't do this, and their dreams do not become a reality. And you have a lot of people that are frustrated, and that's just really, really, really sad. Now, if we create some steps, right, we can create that intervention, but we can also create some other steps. And having one step isn't enough, okay? Just think of it like this: 1 and done. 2, okay, I can get a little momentum. I can see where it's going to go. 2 is not enough either. When I get 3, now I'm 3 steps, now I'm gaining some momentum. And if I add 5 steps, I'm in a full-on sprint by the time I've completed task number 5. So I want to walk us through this little process for just a moment. And maybe you guys can help me out. My son, he wants to learn how to make sushi. So what do? We broke this down into different tasks. What do you guys think the first task was that we decided to do? You can drop that in the chat if you can. Well, the first task that we decided we needed to do was we had to learn where can these people on the Canadian border get sushi grade fish, right? That is not an easy feat at all. So we had our first step. Now, if we had found the sushi fish, that would have just kind of fizzled out. We would not have known what else to do, right? So we had to learn how to make sticky rice. And then we had to watch some YouTube videos on actually how to roll the sushi. And then we had to gather all those materials. And then we could actually make the sushi. I'm going to challenge you that a lot of times in life, we take these dreams that we have and we make the tasks seem absolutely impossible. We make them larger than life. Instead of saying, hey, I can do these things. I can do these things. I just simply need to create a path to do that. Here's the other thing. A lot of times we will take more time to create that path We'll think that, oh, it's going to take me like 5 hours to figure this out. It's not going to take you 5 hours. 30 minutes, sit down and chart out 5 steps that you can take. I promise you, it'll be absolutely invigorating. And not only are you going to have it all right now, you're preparing for your future. And that's powerfully important. Okay. Those actionable steps are what will gain you momentum. So now you guys have absolutely no excuses to not learn how to play the guitar, to take a special trip that you wanted to, or do that next DIY project around the house, right? No excuses. And I want you to remember that the sky is the limit. Once you adopt this, you are going to just steamroll so many parts of your life. And then you get to live this vibrant, unplugged sort of life. Here's another part about having it all, and that is you're not going to have it all at once, and you don't need to. So, for example, I'm sure that you can think of something you liked to do maybe, 15 years ago that you might not participate in right now. So I used to be an avid rock climber. I competed against people you saw in magazines, and I climbed in Yosemite all the time. But as time carried on, I had to make a choice. I didn't have the time to invest in rock climbing in the same capacity, so I had to make a trade. Okay, so I traded rock climbing, but then I found road biking, and then I found mountain biking. And so we make these little trades throughout life, and it's letting one thing go so that we can receive another thing. So sometimes having it all means exchanging things along the way. You have served me well, and this has been fun. And now I'm going to receive this next awesome opportunity. The final part here is courage. We have to have clarity so that we are anchored down. We have to know why we're doing something so that we're sticking with it. We have to protect our energy, but we can't accomplish anything without courage. Someone who has it all, they are not worry-free. They are not stress-free. It's not like they had this magic ticket and they don't have the challenges that everyone else faces. But when they face the challenges, they embrace those challenges. Their mindset, when we have it all, staying grounded, even when we hit that obstacle in the road, we say, this isn't working against me. This is working for me. It's not that it makes it any easier, but it allows us to grow as people. And as we grow, that struggle can define us in wonderful ways. It is that rub, that sandpaper. And you might consider that, if you were working on a project of some sort, like a woodworker would, they don't just take a piece of wood to make a table for to make a kitchen table. They take the wood and they cut it down and they sand it down. And sometimes in our life, we need that. Sometimes we need full on things cut out of our life. Sometimes we just need a gentle sanding down. And when we face those struggles, when we face the tensions, it is working for us. And if we receive that, it will be absolutely powerful. So this
Oh, Julie, I was going to say if you want to take questions, we can do that as well, but don't let me seriously interrupt.
Thank you. You know what? I would love to. I know I feel like I'm yammering on, and it's so funny being on a different platform. I feel terrible because I'm like,
It
oh,
is.
I'm not used to this one. I'm so used to Zoom and how it works, and like, oh, things are popping up all over the place.
I got several people asking me where the emojis were when you asked her that, and I didn't know off the top of my head. Um,
Awesome.
so why don't we from the audience get people that want to ask some questions, and we'll also let you make your last points as well. But
Yes.
if there are any questions from the audience, go ahead and type them in, and we'll take them here. And Julie, I love some of the points that you've made about stopping and taking account of what's most important and having courage and looking at it. So
Absolutely. It's so important. Absolutely important. I'll just point out real fast that this child here, we have tension, right? This kid is going forward in life towards the goal, but that tension is what is also pulling everything else along in their life. There's a good, healthy relationship in tension. Yeah. So all these together and do them for you. Be the very best you at every single stage and phase of your life. Let yourself evolve as you are going through life. Questions if there's a practical way that I can help, help you through the hurdle or something, I would love to do that.
It's a quiet group today.
It is a quiet group. It's a different topic for sure.
One thing that I started this year was every Monday I'm writing down the tasks that I want to accomplish this week. And then on Friday, I've got a worksheet that I fill out that says, did I finish them? What could I improve? And just going through that exercise of taking the time to self-reflect through the week, I think has been really helpful for me.
It's a powerful technique.
The other thing is I highly believe in breathing and just starting off the day in a calm way and coming into your work with the right attitude. All right. We have some questions here. One question, how do you handle changes? For example, if you get a new manager.
That might be very pertinent. I'm not sure. I think it's always good for us to respond in a way that we would want others to respond. So when we have, for instance, a new manager, a new coworker, of any kind, when we engage them, they're new. Now, sometimes people like to come and bring disruption with them, but being open-minded to that and working with the tension that might arise. I'm not sure if there's tension with new management. A lot of times it's uncomfortable, and it's okay to be uncomfortable. And I would challenge that person to keep a little journal of what was uncomfortable and then track it and see, where does that discomfort lead? What does it cultivate within you?
We're starting to get more questions now.
Yeah.
Russ is asking, how do you balance the number of tasks to get done in a week or a day? And also being able, sorry, I've had a hoarse voice for a while. And also being able to be open and spontaneous to necessities.
Oh gosh, my husband and I were just speaking about that. We're using a specific planner right now, and it is very specific. So here's one way of thinking about it. You might be familiar with the book, The 80-20 Rule. So really know, what is that 20% you absolutely have to get done? Like these 3 tasks must get done, or it's going to, they're going to be consequences. And then you have your other tasks. It's like, well, I could roll that over and that's fine. The deadline is not breathing on my back. And so when you understand, right, the clarity as to what you actually must get done, that is going to allow you that flexibility.
I love that book. Did you hear about it from Logan's post on LinkedIn?
That's funny. I was just talking with Logan this morning and we were talking about that book.
Yeah, I got that book too because of him. It is a great book.
He's addicted to that book.
Let's see. David says, I love your point of life happening for you, not to you. It's a reframe that's very important.
And when you take that reframe, it will affect powerful change in your life, and people will look at you really weird. When I lost my dad, people thought I was weird because it could have destroyed me. And I decided, like, this isn't going to destroy me. I can use whatever comes my way for something really powerful, and it can be very good.
All right. If there are any more questions, go ahead and put them in the chat room. Otherwise, we'll close it out. Hey, Julie, can you share your contact information so people can get in touch with you?
Yes, absolutely. I should grab a link off LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. Basically, find me. And it's so funny because I'm usually a little bit more gregarious, and I'm like, this is such a new platform, and I feel terrible. I'm sorry to everybody that I was not paying attention to what platform we were on. So I got to learn a very fun lesson through that today. say you can reach me at, I'll leave an email.
Carlos is asking, are there any worksheets that can help us reflect? And do you have any insight there?
I was thinking of making a worksheet to go with this. If you would like a worksheet, I can put some of these power questions into a worksheet format, and I would happily email it out to you. Just shoot me an email and say, worksheet, please.
Hey, Julie, I noticed the email has got 2 @ signs in it.
Does
Can
it
you
really?
maybe clarify that a little?
Yeah, that would be a good clarification.
All right, everybody. Next week, we actually have Logan coming into the group. So Logan is a
That's
broker in the Kansas
fantastic.
City area. He is a former footballer. He was on the Chiefs, right? He was part of the Chiefs. Anyway, he's a former major league. He's a former football player, and obviously, I'm not a football follower. But he's an incredibly enthusiastic guy, and he is running a brokerage in Kansas City. And so we'll hear from him next week.
He is amazing.
Julie, thank you so much for coming in, and we hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank
Hey,
you so much.
that email address is still incorrect. There's 2 @ symbols in there.
Is there what? I don't. I'm like,
Does your email address end in
oh,
gmail.com?
that's so weird. Julie at 3keysinvestments.com. I'm sorry, I did not realize what was going on with that.
Here we go. All right.
Thank you.
And Julie, do you mind if I call you in a few minutes?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. We'll end the meeting here, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you so much.